for a lot of business owners, solopreneurs, especially when we start out, it takes us a while to figure out that money we're going to invest to hire a coach is going to help us pinpoint those blind spots, right? Because
Totally.
the mastermind groups, I mean, I know you coach coaches, so
Yeah.
I could just let you jump right into that to a mom
Yeah.
who's maybe listening to this thinking, I do want to start a business, but where do I start? I mean, aside from everybody goes to YouTube now and
Hmm.
there's tons of tutorials and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So instead of getting overwhelmed with all of that, what would you say would be the first steps in 2024, if I'm a mom at home and I'm thinking
Hmm.
of going back to work or starting a business?
First thing I would suggest is I mean, it depends on what business you're planning to go in, but I can only, and so I'll speak to like if you're stepping into a coaching role, which many employees usually step into that. Even executives are stepping into coaching. Now, coaching is a very saturated market these days. I will be honest about that, but you can be quite successful. And the things that you should be considering if you are stepping into any business, really, so I'll speak to like all of it, is who are you going to serve? Who is that
Mhm.
like ideal client? And I will tell you that I stayed very stuck in my business for about 2.5 years because I found that discussion of ideal client, target market, niche, whatever you want to call it, to be very limiting. I thought my coaches were telling me that I should turn away business. So I found that whole, what do you mean I can only work with this kind of person? I want to work with anybody who needs me. My
Mhm.
partner, Mark, and I joke all the time. We say anybody with a pulse and a credit card, like if they're breathing and they want help, I'll help them.
Right.
So I always
Mhm.
tell people, that's fine and great, and you can have many different target markets in your mind, but who do you want to magnetize to come to you? So think of it like if you broke your arm, you wouldn't just go to a regular doctor, you would go to a specialist who specializes in helping fix broken arms.
Mhm.
So it's that kind of a thing where you really got to be very, very clear about who you want to help and what you're going to help them to do. So one of the suggestions I make is look into your previous work history. And I'll give you a couple of examples. I have coaches that come to me and say, well, I want to be a life coach and I want to help anybody who needs me. Again, what I was just saying, a pulse and a credit card kind of target market. And I say to them, well, think about, so what were you doing before you became a coach? And I'll give you an example of one of our clients who said that he was a product manager for a software company, and he named the company, and it's a well-known company, but I won't say it. But I suggested to him, okay, maybe your target market is executives. That's who he wanted to help.
Mhm.
No, I'm sorry. He wanted to help product managers in the software industry. Well, that's a very targeted market. And instead of just being a life coach for anybody who needed him, he could
Mhm.
speak to their exact problems that they're struggling with at work. And he's sort of become more of a career coach than a life coach. But that's where his sweet spot is, understanding the journey that they're walking on and the struggles that they deal with. His calendar's full with people who fit that criteria. So being very, very, very diligent about thinking about who you want to serve. Industry, job title. Those are two very strong. If you marry those two things together, you can target people, and not necessarily so much on Facebook, but LinkedIn is a gold mine. So that would be the first piece of advice: is who do you want to help, and what is it that you're helping them to do? What is the point of transformation that you're bringing them to?
That's a great explanation. And since you're in the coaching business and you said it seemed to be saturated, I felt that same way being in the sales and marketing arena, after I called myself disappeared from the planet for a couple of years and had my kids during the pandemic. When I came back, I felt like everyone was a marketer. Everyone's a digital marketing
Yep.
specialist or social media. And for me, marketing has always been omni-channel, right? I
Yeah.
mean, your primary goal is to go where your customers are, but you
That's
still
it.
had to make sure you took care of your word of mouth,
Yeah.
your Facebook, or different touch points, right? So when I came back and there's all these marketers, I'm like, whoa, okay. So a lot of times, and I don't say a lot, every time I do a presentation on marketing, I always try to educate on how to find someone who is the right fit for marketing your business, right? So I would ask you that same question
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
coaching arena. How do you qualify someone to be the right coach for you?
So, and I'm glad that you asked that question. And I love the lead up to it because it's so true. Like there are so many coaches and marketers and even virtual assistants, right? So
Right.
what sets you apart is that target market, is that specific specificity in exactly who you're helping. What
Mhm.
makes you that kind of needle in a haystack coach? What makes you that, when they land on your profile, they think, oh my God, you get me, and having that differentiation as to who you help, why you specialize in what you specialize in, and exactly what you help people to do. What makes you unique in that space? I talk to coaches, especially who are like certified. So they say, well, I'm certified by, I'll just throw out Tony Robbins, right? Tony
Yeah,
Robbins certified. Okay, that's
or
great. But,
John Maxwell.
right. So it's like, okay, well, and I'm not discouraging anybody from getting certified if that's the route you want to go, but I wouldn't use that as your lead in your marketing because people are going to price shop. So they become a commodity. So they go,
Mhm.
well, you're Tony Robbins certified, but so is this guy that I just met on LinkedIn too. And
Mhm.
so are like 50,000 other people. So what do you charge? Because this guy charges that. And
Mhm.
there's no like special unique quality in just being certified by a specific certification company or a Tony Robbins or anything like that. So you've got to be that unique. I don't want to say a unicorn, like you don't want to just be one of a kind, but
Mhm.
you have to offer something that nobody else does. Like when coaches come to work with us, we have a roadmap. We have a literal, we're your GPS. We're going to guide you on this journey that's going to take you from point A to point B. And these
Mhm.
are the steps that we take to get you there.
Mhm.
Nobody else has that. They don't have our 3 phases and our 9 steps.
Mhm.
It doesn't exist. It's ours and it's unique to us. And we don't
Mhm.
put it out in the world until we're consulting with somebody. So it's not something that somebody can just go, I'm just going to steal their roadmap and offer that. You have to have something that's just completely different, a unique journey that you're taking your customers on.
Well, that's good. I mean, so what do you think when someone, I should say, what are the red flags someone should look out for when they're interviewing a coach?
Hourly chart. Well, first of all, there's a few things. One is the length of time that you're going to work with somebody. And like I said, I consult with a lot of coaches. So I see the pitfalls that I would suggest are pitfalls that they might not realize. And I'll just share what some of those are. I say, okay, let's say that I wanted to work with you. What does that look like? How long, what's the term of the engagement, right? So typically it's like, oh, I'll work with you for a year, 12-month, you know, contract, a 6-month contract. And I think people want their transformation long before a year, right? So, like we offer a 90-day program. We want to help you get big results in a short amount of time, not so that we can say, okay, now you're not obligated to work with us beyond that, but our hope is that you get such a good win, at least one, maybe
Mhm.
several, that you would want to continue beyond the 90 days. But so that's one thing I see is that long-term kind of, I feel like it's kind of like a therapy situation. Coaching and therapy, some people say is very similar. Well,
Yeah.
if I'm in therapy, I don't want to wait a year to get results. I want results pretty fast because I'm in pain. I'm in pain.
Mhm.
And then the other like common thing that I see is hourly billing, right? I'm going to charge you by the hour. And I always have people kind of reverse engineer. What do you want to be making as a coach? What is your ideal goal, your financial goal, monthly or annually? And they give me their number, whatever that is. Sometimes they're pulling it out of thin air, but sometimes they're like, I'd be happy with this amount. I'd like to replace my corporate income, and I'd like to make this. Okay.
Mhm.
And then I say, well, what are you charging? And it's usually an hourly rate. Or maybe they have a package and they're charging by the package, but their pricing is so off that they don't realize it. So I say, let's reverse engineer. So there's where you want to be. Here's what you're charging. Let's figure out how many clients you would need to meet your goal. And usually it's some ridiculous number. It's like you'll need 50 clients in a year. Do you think you can attract and sign up 50 clients? You're going to have to speak to probably
Of
several
course.
hundred people to even get 50. And,
Yeah.
so it's a big realization for people when they realize. So you have to be very clear about your goal and then price yourself accordingly,
Mhm.
right? But you have to be able to justify your price as well. So we help our clients have like what we call a high ticket program so that they can work with fewer clients and make more money. That's the goal.
Mhm.
So those are a couple of things. Yeah.
I like that because one, I did hire a couple coaches and I felt like I was they were stringing me along, like withholding some information, like today we're gonna work on this. And in my opinion, I feel like I was clearly exhibiting that I'm a little past that. Can we get, and they would kind of like spool around, okay, next session we're gonna do this. And I'm like, you are killing me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And I can also speak to when I was a virtual assistant. So at that time, when I started, I was
Mhm,
charging by the hour and I would give like a discount if they bought like a bucket of hours all at one time,
mhm,
but my problem was I was super efficient, right? Because I had 30 years in corporate and I knew how to make things go.
mhm,
So I actually found that I was penalized for being efficient in that model. So charging by the hour. So if they bought, let's say they bought a package of, let's say 10 hours, and I
mhm,
got their work done, and that's for a month, and I'd get their work done in 6, they would be like, oh, so you're going to roll over 4 hours next month, right? And I
mhm,
found myself in that cycle where I literally wasn't sleeping because I'd be spending all day trying to, satisfy the client time wise and all that, be able to make my money. And also, I always needed to be finding clients. I could never and I could never sleep. I was
mhm,
never sleeping in that kind of business model. You always need clients. So the hourly thing is, I learned a lot of tricks and techniques on my own. I wasn't actually coached on some things. And,
mhm,
I used to coach virtual assistants because I find that, the hourly billing that's what people look for. They're looking for the cheapest, lowest hourly rate. And
mhm.
that's not the kind of clients that you want to be attracting. So there's ways to price yourself. We won't go into that whole discussion, but the hourly billing model is not going to serve you and it's not going to serve your clients either.
I remember at my first marriage, I went to consult with an attorney, and obviously I got divorced. But as soon as I sat down in his office, he hit the clock, and I was like, whoa, this guy's serious. And I'm
Yeah,
there with my notes. I'm like, well, blah, 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 blah. I'm like just speeding through my notes because I'm like,
right.
this guy's charging. And my
Yeah,
mind was more on the clock than trying to solve
yeah,
my challenge at the time, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think going against the clock can be a little bit intimidating as well, but
yes,
I've had great success even working with a team. I'm more of task oriented. Like you tell me what
me
needs to get
too.
done.
Yeah,
You can't, if it takes me like you say, you have the skills and the years of experience to do the job. So even if it took you 30 minutes, who cares? The job is done and you didn't go
right.
to school for it, right?
That's right.
Don't
That's right.
waste a
So
fire
it's
good
yeah, the
degree.
hourly model is just I don't think it's good for anybody to be honest. And
Right.
really people they're just price shopping and they just want the lowest price that they can get. They don't really care about I mean they do once they start working with you. So then the
Hmm.
lowest hourly price, but then they're going to also kind of abuse you at the same time,
Do
so
you
it's just not a win.
do you find with your coaching business? So I'll give you an example of a challenge
Yeah.
that I had when I first started consulting. Clients do want to see the results up front, but sometimes it takes a little like research and refining of, what have they been doing? Because you're new on the scene. So it's like you got to learn a little bit of what happened. So you do have to allot for that time for you to
Mhm.
be able to assess how you can really help them get the maximum out of the investment spend. So if you're working with someone for like 30 days and they're like, well, this isn't working, I'm like, you created this mess in 10 years and you want me to figure out and 10x your results. So
Yeah.
did you find at times that you would get frustrated working with clients? And did you take that into your coaching business as maybe seeing like this maybe wasn't a good fit from the
So
get-go?
totally, such a good question. So let me see if I can kind of give you my perspective on it. And I have somebody on my team right now, a VA that has been working with me for a lot of years, and
Mhm,
she just got a new client, and this client is asking her to kind of figure out the impossible. And so she's trying to do that, and she's trying to be so kind about it. She's like, "Oh, I'll just do that." She even said to the client, "Don't worry, I'll figure this out, and I'm not even going to charge you for it." And I had to like scold her. I'm
mm,
like, "No, no, 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 no. We're not doing that. Like, no, you're too busy even working with me that you shouldn't have, no, we're not doing that." But yes, I did experience that in my business where there
mhm,
is a bit of a learning curve. And And it became, for me, that's why the virtual assistant business was not a great thing when I look back on it. I enjoyed it and I was good at it, but it was because of those very things. Every client is different. So they all had different needs and different softwares that they used or different things they
Mhm.
wanted me to research. And yeah, that stuff takes time. And it's like, how do you balance having like 10 clients that all need that kind of service? But so to answer your actual question about what did I bring into the coaching that I do now, and
Mhm.
that is, we have a specific roadmap, like I said, that we're walking people through. So and it is customized based on, the client's actual needs, but the general gist of what we're selling is the core. And so we charge a certain amount for that. And that's the path that we walk down. So there's not really a big deviation off of that path. We'll work with you on that path, even if it's customized to what your specific needs are. And of course, we have, enough built in there that we can have a team to support the process and that we can give, I no longer clock in for clients. Like I'm happy to give them whatever time that they need with me. We don't work with thousands of clients, by the way. We're very tight. We work with a handful of clients at a
Mhm.
time. So, and we charge commensurate to that so that we are, not spinning our wheels trying to help 30 different people. That's, even for a coach, that's too much. That's why
Mhm.
having just a few select clients that you're charging, a fair amount to, that,
Mhm.
is commensurate with them getting results and you getting paid properly. So you're right. So back to what you were saying, I don't like that model where you're having to spend time to figure stuff out for people. If they can't come with some kind of, steps that they want you to take, that's something that you have to kind of negotiate into. Maybe you charge a setup fee for those kind of things. So anybody that's listening that is not necessarily a coach but looking to just, be like a service based, maybe a freelancer or something like that, you should have some kind of setup fee included in that, like even if it's just a one-time thing, right?
Mhm.
But even as needed, if you need me to learn a new software or something, that's something I'm going to charge you for. Yeah.
Don't be afraid. I guess you see this probably in your coaching business a lot as well, because something that I had a problem with was charging for what I was actually worth. And
Mm.
I charged just like minimal. And I wasn't even thinking about like if they were price shopping. I just felt like, man, that's too much.
I have several things to say on that. As you can tell, I've been at this a long time, since 2009. So I've kind of seen a lot, and I've also kind of figured out how to
Mhm.
fix some of these things. So let's talk pricing. This is very important. So there's a balance, right? So and I'll just tell you, I'm going to give you the same kind of conversation that I give to coaches when I see pricing on a website. Like I go to the websites when I do a consultation with somebody and I see they've got a package or they've got hours or whatever they've got, and they have their price right there on their site. So I'm going to come at this from that perspective, but just know that this applies whether or not you even have a website and whether or not you post your pricing. So let's just talk pricing in general. If you are what somebody considers affordable, right, with quotes, right, that's affordable, that to them sounds like, well, I don't know. Must not be very good. I don't think I want to hire this person because I don't know. I don't want to put my business in someone's hands that are charging so little. Like they might not do a good job.
Mhm.
On the other hand, so again, whether your pricing is published or not, you're somebody else, a totally different person will look at your same price, right? The one that was affordable to somebody else might be like, who the hell does she think she is charging that kind of money? I don't even know like
Right.
why she would be worthy of that. So either way, you could see that no matter what you do, there's a judgment. And I
Mhm.
always say, like, going back to the website, they're clicking off your site, no matter where they were in their thinking. Either
Mhm.
you're too affordable or too expensive, they've left. They've not even given you the opportunity to justify your pricing. And we always
Mhm.
think if we just keep it affordable, more people will sign up. And I think it's just the opposite. But I think you need to prove it first. So it's never about just like if somebody comes your way, this is a very strong piece of advice. Somebody comes your way and says, well, what do you charge? That's not a question that you should just answer. That's like, let's get on a call. Let me meet with you on Zoom or on the phone and
Mhm.
let me understand your needs and let me show you that I can honor those needs and handle those needs for you.
Mhm.
And then when I give you my price, I'm sure it'll be justified and you'll be happy to pay it. But without giving somebody that kind of consultative experience, they're just going to make a judgment based on your price, bad or good, and they're gone either way. So very
Right.
important that you don't ever disclose pricing until you consult with somebody. And one other big tip I'll give is a biggie. We teach this in our program is to have some kind of needs assessment that they have to go through before they even get on a call with you. There should be a questionnaire of what are their needs, where are they struggling, so that they're ready for that call and that you're ready to answer that for them. So I hope that's helpful.
Absolutely. I'm sure whoever's listening gonna learn a lot because my last question, well, I have two more questions. One is, do you feel that your ability to provide pricing is tied to your confidence?
Yes, I do. But there's also like, and I've been, I learned this with the coaches that I've worked with for myself. Like I paid them and they coach me. It's like you give your price and then you shut up, zip your mouth and just let them sit with it. So yes, you have to have confidence with that. But I could tell you for a long time, I didn't have the confidence, but I still was charging more than many were. And so even to this day, I struggle with it, but I just put out the price. I feel like confident in what I've proven to them. And especially at this stage in my business, I've been at this so long that I have the proof. I've got, hundreds of testimonials. I've got dozens of case studies all on my website. So I feel that those stand on their own, but especially in the way that I consult with people. But yeah, sometimes you just have to give the price and just, even if you're not confident, just zip your mouth and let them digest that and let them react to that. And then you can go on from there. Some people might go, well, that's reasonable. Sounds good. How do I sign up? And other people will be like, I don't know, I need to think about it. And other people, and so you might want to have different offers to different people depending on where they are. We have entry level offers that are, not at the rate that we charge for our 90-day program, but it's a way for them to get to know. We also have people that sometimes they don't sign up because they think it's expensive, but you know what, 2 and 3 years later, and I've had this happen very recently, I've had a few of these, they come back to me and say, I should have signed up 2 or 3 years ago because I've been struggling ever since and you would have helped me. And now they're ready. So we call that the readiness factor. Yeah. So you do have to be confident in yourself, and you have to not let somebody make you feel bad for the way that you've priced yourself. Not everybody's going to be a fit, and you need to be okay about that.
Good,
Yeah.
good stuff. And my final question for you, and I hope whoever's listening to this really take whatever wisdom nugget you have for moms in business in the 2024 year and forward, because it has certainly changed. What would be your wisdom nugget you want to leave with us?
Oh my gosh, so many. Are you talking like from a
Hey,
mom perspective or?
from a mom perspective, because that's
Yeah.
our primary audience.
Yeah. So I mean, be there for your kids, number one, first and foremost. And one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur, for those women who are thinking about stepping in there, is that we get to have say and control over our own schedules, which is really cool. Like no matter what business you're in, whether it's coaching or virtual assisting or whatever role that you want to step into, you do get say over your calendar. Like I have quite a long to-do list every day. I'm sure most moms do. But I always say to myself, well, thank goodness I can block time from my calendar to do, like I've got it. I started when my son was 4 in this business, and now he's 19. He's off to college. And so like this afternoon, I have to do a huge stack of paperwork online, of course, and I built that into my schedule for today. I'm like, well, that's that. I'm gonna, take the time that I need to do that. And I didn't allow anybody to book on my calendar this afternoon, so I can do that. So just know that you can be a successful entrepreneur, business owner, and be a mom. And it actually will benefit you even more than when you're stuck working for somebody else and you're stuck in traffic and, and all of that stuff. We're in an age and the technology is affording us to be able to do everything that we need to get done and just really embrace and acknowledge that having that freedom. We're going to be traveling this summer. And again, all I have to do is just block out my calendar for when we're going to be away. I take my laptop, I work when I want to. I enjoy what I do. So it's almost like a hobby. I don't feel like I have to be working. I'm not at a client's beck and call or a boss's beck and call. So yeah, step into entrepreneurship and just know that you can get your life done and be there for your kids. I want to say this one last thing about being a mom and an entrepreneur. like I said, my son was 4 when I started. So I was the den leader for his Cub Scout troop. I was baseball mom. I was every night after a long day of entrepreneuring, I would be sitting at the baseball field and I loved it. And I never missed a thing. I was at school functions. I volunteered at school. So such a rewarding path to be able to do that and not have to check in with a boss and say, is it okay if I leave work early so I can go home and cook dinner before baseball? So yeah, just
That is very encouraging.
mm,
And I think sometimes we forget that having just the options, right? Because entrepreneurship doesn't always have to be this big pursuit of trying to make 6 figures, or, it could just be to
right.
make supplemental income, right?
Yes.
Just enough. You're covering a little bit to take the burden off of your partner or spouse or whoever's going out full time, right? And
Yeah.
the beauty of just taking the pressure off and having more moments to create more stability for your family. So that is definitely a precious nugget. I too have to remind myself with all the time. And one last thing, Jaimie, this was
Yeah.
such great information. I always learn when I talk to moms, and people always ask me, well, why are you doing taking time out talking to all these moms? Because I'm like, it's so encouraging, especially I call you guys wise moms who have the older kids, like, right? I'm in my 40s just starting. I got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, but hey,
Hmm.
I'm gonna make it because I'm
Yeah.
listening to all these wise stories from the women who have already done the hard work. And one of the best things one of my friends told me, she said, Glow, the years are, she said, the days are long, but the years are short.
So
And
true.
another one told me take a lot of photos. I'm not a big picture taker. I still get in a
Mm,
little bit of trouble with family for not taking photos. But they're like, take lots and lots of pictures. You're gonna blink and they're gonna be in
yep.
college. And I was like,
I'm
I look
telling you.
back on those pictures, my little sister, thank God. I'm almost 20 years older than her, but she takes pictures and I look back and
Oh,
she'll send it to me randomly. And I'm like, oh, sometimes I cry even. I was like, holy cow, I mean, it is going so fast. But Jaimie, thank you so much. Please
pleasure.
share how anyone listening to this can get in touch with you and who
Yeah.
is the right person to get in touch with you.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, my website would probably be the best, hub, if you will. I can give you lots of different links, but I'll just give you my website, which is upscaleyourbusiness.com. Now, who is ideal for me are coaches and consultants who are stepping either away from corporate or away from a boss, if you will, into that space. So, business coaches, executive coaches, leadership coaches, even life coaches, if you will. But those are our ideal clients. Now, can I help anybody who's stepping into the entrepreneur world? I probably could, but our specialty is working with coaches and consultants. But feel free to reach out, even if you're not that and you need some guidance in your business. I'm sure I can give you some good resources and maybe even be a coach for you as well.